Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial on how to sew your face masks at home. So from the title you see that it's going to be a very detailed tutorial video. So first I will take you through the items that you'll be needing to achieve this process. So these are some of the things that we'll be needing to achieve this. So we'll be needing your office pin to hold your fabric together. You also need a thread. So your thread is chosen based on the color of your fabric. So because I do not have a dark purple thread with me, I'll be using the black thread for my sewing today. And also my needle. So this is your needle, the tiny needle that you use, the tiny needle for this purpose as opposed to the bigger needle. And then also we'll be using the chalk. This is to make marks while you are trying to achieve your fabric cuts. So if you do not have a chalk, you can use a pen or a pencil depending on your fabric so that you don't leave a permanent mark on it. You also will be needing a ruler along the line to make your sketching a bit easier for you to cut out. Here's the fabric we'll be using. It's a dark purple fabric. You also be needing your scissors to cut out your fabric and your pattern, your tape rule to measure, your elastic band to add to your face mask when you're done, and the paper where I'll be using to show you how to cut out your pattern for future use, so you don't have to always cut your pattern out every time. It makes your work easier when you're trying to produce multiple face masks for the family. Here is a pattern that I already have. However, I will still be showing you how to achieve this pattern in this video. And we'll also be needing our iron because at some point we'll need to press some parts of the fabric together to make the stitching easier. So let's go straight into the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do is to cut out the pattern for the face mask. So here is my brown paper that I will be using, but in a situation whereby you don't have your brown paper at home, you can use a white paper. That's like the middle sheet of a note, a small note or an higher education. So this is our tape rule. If you look at your tape rule, you see that the front is inches and then the back is centimeters. So we're going to be making use of inches for the purpose of this nose marks. So for this nose mask, the measurement we're using is 9 inches, 9 inches. So I'm going in now to take the measurement. So you're going to place your tape rule like this and measure 9 inches. You can see where my 9. So because I do not want to waste too much paper, I'm going to try to start from a bit from the tail end of this paper, 9 inches. So we take our chalk and make a mark here and another mark here. Next, what we're going to do is take our ruler, place it here, take your pen, make it fast. Make a straight line to meet. Then just so that you are double sure that you got it right, just stick your tape rule in again to confirm. Then next you go like this, another 9 inches, mark
your voice,
mark your ruler. Please try to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. And then we'd repeat the same process here too. So if you take your tape measure out again, you will see that it's 9 inches. It's 9 inches 9 inches. So 9 inches, 9 inches. Next thing is you take out your scissors, carefully cut out the pattern.
We'll fast forward this part. I'm already filming it again as they are cutting it, so we'll just fast forward. I'll say something.
So
Be careful.
you have to be careful to make sure that you cut out the pattern, because any mistake while cutting means that you have to repeat the process all over again. You have to be very careful and mindful of the pattern you have sketched out. Remember that you're going to be using this pattern to achieve all the nose marks you'll be making.
Yeah.
So here we have our pattern for the nose marks. For the face marks, we have our pattern for the face marks cut out and ready for us to use. So we're going to go into the next stage now. So now we have our pattern cut out for us. So the next thing is to also cut out our fabric. So there's something you need to note about your fabric. So when you're using a light fabric, it's advisable that you double it, because that way it can actually absorb whatever particles drop on it. But in the situation whereby your fabric is thick, you don't need to double it. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I will be doubling my fabric because this fabric is quite light. If you breathe into it, you can feel it through the other side. That's why I will be doubling it. So I'm just going to take my pattern, place it on the fabric. Now this is where I use my office pin. So I'm going to take my office pin and then I start pinning down the paper to the fabric. All this is just to make it easier for you to cut out the exact shape without making mistake. Please remember that if your fabric is light, you will need to double it while making your face marks. But if your fabric is thick, you don't have to double it while making your face marks. So I'm just going to go in with my scissors now and cut out the pattern. Please be very careful and try to stay on course. I know that most of us are not used to trying to sew at home, but these are
Your voice is down.
These are peculiar times and we have to get innovative and creative for ourselves and our loved ones. So just try to cut the fabric in line with your pattern. Okay, so as you can see it's easier for me to cut out my pattern from pinning it to the fabric. This is easier to do this to achieve your face marks, as opposed to having to measure on every fabric every time you want to make a new face marks. This saves you time and allows you to be able to even cut out more at a stretch. I'm repeating the process of cutting my pattern out because, like I said earlier, this fabric is light, and so I will be doubling the fabric in making my face masks. So now we have our cutout, so I'm just going to take out the safety pins on this. Ensure you put your safety pin back because of children and even your own safety, so you don't step on it or sit on it, either ways. So now we have our fabric. See, it's quite light, so we're going to be doubling it, so you can see. So first things first, so you can see you have to just fold it like an 1 inch, then you use your office pin to hold it down. This is just to make stitching the edges easy. So this is our fabric. You can see we've used our office pin for the 2 edges, 1 inch, because those are the edges we're going to be stitching up first. Next is to bring out our pin. You just need one needle, for this purpose. Keep the remaining safe. And then, like I said earlier, we'll be using the black thread because I do not have a dark purple thread. So we'll just go in with our needle and thread. So just go in here, put it in, bring it out from the other end, and then I'll come back from behind in again, pull it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so just go in like this.
No.
And pull it out and go back in from. I've gone ahead to finish up my hand stitching. I used the back and stitch for this, so finished with the first side. So because I know that some of you are not familiar with how to use a sewing machine, this is why I'm showing you what it's going to look like when you use a needle and thread to do it by yourself using the backhand stitch. But for the purpose of this, I've done this to let you know how it is when you use your hand. But I'm going to go ahead and use my machine to sew the second side, and then we'll continue the next step from there. I've gone ahead to use my sewing machine to stitch up the other end of the fabric, while this side was stitched with my hand, and I used the back stitch for this side of the fabric. So the next thing now is that we're going to iron the fabric. Okay, so now I'm just going to press my fabric just so that it's smooth. So after doing that, I'll set my iron aside. Next thing now is to fold our fabric to achieve the 3 folds. So we go 1, so this is 1. So I like to press down with my iron. It kind of helps the fold to stay. So I go 1. You can actually do this without the iron. Then for extra hold, you use your pin. So we have our 3 folds. I'm just going to use my iron to press it down a bit. So now we've used our machine to stitch the two edges of the fabric. I just want to show you what it looks like at the back. So remember that we doubled our fabric for this face mask because, like I said, the fabric is light. So we're just going to show you how it looks now. Can you see the four edges are stitched? Can you see? And we have our three folds sitting properly. So we're going to flip the fabric over. So once we flip the fabric over, we're going to go in and fold it. Yes.
So I just basically went ahead to just fold 1 inch of each side so as to sew it up, so that where you just sew it up straight like the way you see it in this video. So when you sew it up, you can easily pass your elastic to the hole that you would make at the end of sewing up that 1 inch. So I just was trying to use safety the office pin to tack it down so that it's easier for me to just pick that angle and just sew it on the sewing machine. So basically what this video is teaching us is I showed you 2 ways you can do it. Either you use your hand to sew it like this. Now in this video, you can, like you're seeing now, you can just basically use your hand to sew it. And if you have a sewing machine at home, which makes it easier, just make use of a sewing machine. But if you don't have one, you can always use your hand to sew and make your face masks, whichever way you want it. And earlier done, that's why we cut patterns. So this video is just basically teaching you how to make multiple face masks for everybody in the home. If you live with your family and or you cohabit, you can make it for somebody else that you stay with. So after cutting that pattern, you don't need to start measuring your fabric every time you need to cut your fabric. Just put on the pattern on the fabric, that paper pattern, and just cut out the measurements. Is there already for you. It's easier that way. So yeah, I'm just measuring the elastic that I'm going to use, and I measured 9 inches, so that should be about 18 centimeters thereabout. So I'm using 9 inches measurements for each ear loop. So, and what I will do is just to pass the elastic through each hole, that place where we sewed together. So I will just pass the elastic through the hole, or as you can see in this video too, you can sew the elastic on each side. But for this measurement, you need to pass the elastic through the hole, because if you sew it at this side with that 9 inches, it will be the elastic will be too big for the ear lobe, as you see. So this way is better you pass it through the hole, that place where we folded 1 inch. Like I said, it's better you pass it through that hole, like with a safety pin. Just the way you pass elastic through a cloth hole. So you just pass the elastic through that hole right there. And basically this is just a detailed video on how to make your face masks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two. Do not forget to like this video, share, subscribe, and all those good stuff. I hope you've been able to. So this is like a good way for you to produce more face masks at home, because as directive of the WHO, we cannot medical grade face masks are becoming scarce in the world. So this is just a better option, face masks, to use at home or to use anywhere you're going to. So to make at home, so make this at home. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.